The world's population has grown exponentially over the last few decades, from 3 billion in 1960 to 7.7 billion in 2020. A mere 60 years later, and the number of people on this earth has more than doubled. So how can it be that with less children per family, the population has grown so much? Are there less sicknesses? Are our bodies built better and stronger? Do we have more remedies to fight said sicknesses? Let's dive into it.
Why did the world population grow so slowly before 1800? Well, throughout history, all historical records show us that on average, 2 parents got more or less 6 children. But that looks as a very fast population growth. So why didn't it grow? Because 1, 2, 3, 4 of the children died before growing up to become parents themselves. The Industrial Revolution, this changed. Better wages, more food, tapped water, better sanitation, soap, medical advances. So why did then, from all these advances, why did population grow? Was it because they got more children? No. 1963, that year when I was at school, actually the number of children per woman had decreased a little in the world to 5. And the reason for the fast population growth was the improved child survival. 4 survived at that time. It's only in the recent decades that most of the countries have taken big leap forwards in child survival and in family planning, so that we are now approaching the new balance. And it's a nice balance. 2 parents on average get 2 children that survive.
The life expectancy rate around the world has doubled over the last 150 years. Why? Due to the innovations and the developments made in medical innovation. Since 1990, millions of lives have been saved because of treatment, medication, and others. Does this mean that we will have less health issues these days? Or do we simply treat them better due to medical innovations? We have changed our lifestyles and the way we consume, both which have led to new health issues and new remedies. For most health problems, a form of remedy or treatment exists, and sometimes even more than one type. How to know which to choose? Which will have a better chance of curing us?
As natural healing techniques become more popular, there's even more interest in naturopathic medicine. Naturopathic medicine is a holistic system of healthcare that treats you as a whole by addressing the root causes of disease.
Humble invented a chemical concoction called Miracle Mineral Solution. He claims on the church website that MMS can cure everything from colds to cancer. Claims it's being tried by millions around the world, from the very old to the very young.
Diseases are just an illusion. Diseases are not real. In fact, diseases don't really exist. At least not in the way that we think they do.
Recently, researchers at McGill have embarked on a study that uses a brain scanning device to read people's minds and implant thoughts into their heads. Or so their subjects think. Now, the same device may be able to help kids with ADHD, anxiety, obsessive compulsive disorder, migraines, Tourette's, and more. This study is not about technology. The MRI machine behind me may look impressive, but it's a sham. It's deactivated, non-functioning. What this study is really about is faith in science. It's about the power of thoughts to heal.
Are there enough regulations to develop pharmaceutical drugs and to secure the public's health? Can humans develop addictions to them so we always need and want to take more? Why are drugs so expensive in some parts of the world and in others so cheap?
Is it true that Gilead made $3 billion in profits from the sales of Truvada in 2018?
$3 billion in revenue.
Oh, yes, in revenue, thank you. And very quickly, the current list price is $2,000 a month in the United States, correct?
The current list price is $1,780 in the United States. And just to correct, the $3 billion was a global figure for Truvada for PrEP in 2000.
So the list price is almost $2,000 in the United States. Why is it $8 in Australia?
Truvada still has patent protection in the United States, and in the rest of the world it is generic.
There's no reason this should be $2,000 a month. People are dying because of it, and there's no enforceable reason for it.
the drug companies would like to have less regulation. They'd basically like the drugs to be put on the market quickly. And then they would, if they worked, they would be in demand. If they didn't work, they would not be in demand. And the market would basically regulate the drugs. Rather than having this scientific system that was put in place after the thalidomide tragedy to
That's
test
in
the
60s,
drugs. Yeah, in the 60s.
I left the pharmaceutical industry in the year 2000, and I had no intention of being a whistleblower or writing a book or discussing any of it with anyone because it was a nightmare experience by the time I was out of it. And I just wanted to turn my back and walk away. But I had a niece who was 20 years old, and she was taking antidepressants, and she committed suicide by burning herself alive. And it happened to be that at that time I was doing research to write a book about the blockbuster drugs that had been out and that had been pulled off of the market. And so I myself had run across an extensive amount of information about the inefficacy of antidepressants, about the dangers, about how all of this information had been revealed initially in the clinical trials, because I had been trained how to read clinical trials. So once I got into the information, I was devastated at the amount of disinformation and misinformation that had been presented to the public.
This business, as many others, is working for the greater good and making millions, even billions in revenue. Do we depend on it to survive? Do we all have the same chance of survival with or without it? Do we always need a drug to treat a disease or sickness? What if this contributed and is still contributing to the population growth, the decrease in resources, the pollution, the climate change, and everything related? What if pharmaceuticals weren't for the greater good, but for the greater wrong? It's up to you to decide which truth is yours.